Alright guys, so this is my first real gameplay, this is my first real commentary. Now, I'm going to be talking about a couple things. Post-DMR meta, what is it going to be like, what guns are going to be good. I'm going to be talking about the MAC-10, what gun I think is currently better in the AS VAL, and why that is, and how to use it, and use the stats and whatnot. And this gameplay is also going to be pre-DMR, you know, before I ever figured out it was the meta. The MAC-10 is in play, people are using it in this. You enjoy. If you like the video, you don't gotta subscribe, you don't gotta like, you don't gotta comment. Just keep an eye. I'm gonna be streaming. I am Brian. I'm gonna just be figuring this all out, going with it. Thank you and enjoy. Alright, so first thing you're probably gonna notice is gonna be a little different because I am landing Corey. When the circle is in this northern area that is centered around military Corey, I like to land up here because there's a lot of action, a lot of people kill, you get a lot of loot, guaranteed loadout, and the main thing is you're setting yourself up for a win later on. And I want to kind of have a different playstyle, which is a mixture of the high kill streamer playstyle mixed with the realistic kind of normal playstyle that the average player would play to actually get wins and base positioning like that. Now, one of the main things we're going to talk about here is the AS VAL versus MAC-10. And the FFAR actually kind of does come in this discussion, but it's not going to be touched on fully. The main thing is just that the MAC-10 and the two MP5s from Cold War and Modern Warfare have high time to kill. You're going to see them on these graphs here. You can see that this is time to kill with 3 plates to the chest. The orange is the AS VAL, the blue is the MP5 from Cold War, green is Modern Warfare, and the purple is the MAC-10. And when you look at that, you can see why I'm saying the AS VAL has a place in this meta, because it goes head to head with any of the SMGs that anyone would really use in time to kill. Not just head to head, it beats them. And I know there's a lot of people that are going to say, but you only have 30 bullets, and I do understand that. But I do want you to watch, because in about a minute or two, and I will talk about when we get there, I will kill 2 people with just 1 clip. And I know that's not the biggest deal, and you can do that with a lot of guns, but with 30 bullets, a lot of people don't think it's necessarily possible. But if you were using the AS VAL in its intended range of 0 to 20 meters, killing 2 people, 30 bullets is no problem with how fast the time to kill is on this thing. And that's one thing I also want to talk about, is if you are good at isolating 1v1s and finding space to shield and reload in combat because you have good movement and good positioning, then you can set yourself up to beat almost anyone using this gun. You just have to find a way to get in 1v1 and you can win it. That's all you need with this gun. Now, the issue is you have to pair it with preferably a long-range AR. I think the AMAX, Grau, Kilo, M4A4, XM4, Krieg, any long-range type AR like that is a great gun to run with this. But the other big part is that if you're using it in trios and quads specifically, you have to have teammates that are playing close to you and play trades. And trade position is something I'm going to talk about in future videos, but it's something to be very aware of. If you have people that play aggressive with you and you are getting kills and they're close to you, like I'm sure you noticed in this gameplay, you can reload all you want. If your teammates are there to shoot while you're reloading, this gun will beat any other gun just straight up, essentially, in a close range battle. Now, the gun I'm using here is the DMR. I mean, not the DMR, it's the Grau. And this is in the week when the MAC-10 was meta, DMR wasn't. And I think the Grau is going to be something that people should consider in the future. You know, now that we're kind of post the DMR. The DMR is still good, obviously, but let's be honest, it's not as good. And I think if you like the Kilo, then you probably know that the Kilo got nerfed when Season 1 came out. And you're probably looking for another long-range AR that does something similar. The M4 has a little too much kick to have that very smooth feel at extremely long ranges. And the AMAX is a similar thing. While I love the AMAX, and that's my personal favorite AR in these situations, I sincerely think the Grau needs to be reconsidered as a long-range AR. I'm going to pull up the stats here to show the long-range time to kill with the nerfed Kilo and the new Grau compared to the M4 and the AMAX. And here, for example, is me killing 2 people. Look at that. 2 people, 1 clip, even while it's stunned, AS VAL. And I'm not talking about the down people, I'm talking before that. And that's one of the powers of this gun, that even in those situations, I can take 2 people on comfortably And I don't feel that necessarily any other gun allows that. Alright, and now I'm going to bring up the stats, which are going to show the time to kill on the Grau and Kilo. So first thing you're going to notice is that there's more than just the Grau and Kilo. I decided to put the M4 there along with the AMAX. AMAX is in green, M4 is in blue, Grau's in purple, Kilo's in orange. As you can see, Grau and Kilo have very similar time to kills at close range, but in long range, the Grau is better. The M4 is better in terms of time to kill than the Grau, and the AMAX is better than all of them. Now the main thing is how easy it is to hit your shot. And as anyone knows, the Kilo wasn't strong because of time to kill, it was strong because of its accuracy. And I think after the Kilo nerf, the Grau is kind of the gun that's going to replace that. The M4 does not have as easy as a kick as those two to control. And I think that also mainly applies more so to the AMAX. But the thing is with the AMAX is I don't find it too hard to control, and I'm sure mouse and keyboard players will find it way easier to control. But the damage, as you saw in that time to kill chart, is absurd. And that gun is kind of similar to the VAL, where in certain situations it's just going to come out on top. The downside to the AMAX is the 45 round mag. I mean, it doesn't mean much because it is 50 round mag on most things. But the downside is also that if you're hitting stomach or extremity shots and like limbs, and you're not hitting chest, head, the time to kill actually falls below a lot of these other ARs. It becomes not noticeably worse, but it becomes not as good of a gun. I mean, I think though, if you're considering the long range AR, and as I said, similar to the Kilo, the Grau has got to be the gun to look at. And I don't mean necessarily in just, I mean, you're going to see here, it doesn't have a lot of kick, the damage strong, cracked armor there, you know, very similar to Kilo. It's not a tank up close. It's not something I want to have with me in a house if I'm facing SMGs like the AMAX, where I know it can compete on the level. But it's something that at these long range fights with the low kick, high rate of fire, decent damage, I mean not the craziest damage, but with the solid damage and now better than the Kilo, I think it's a gun to consider. I mean, the Kilo was never really the king because it could just melt people. It was king, similar reason why the M13 sees a lot of use, because it was easy to hit shots and it was reliable. And I think that's something that can't be underestimated. Whenever you're dealing with high kick guns or snipers or something, consistent damage that you can put down reliably will always have a place. And that's why the Kilo was so important, or not so important, but so impactful on the Warzone meta because of it. And the Kilo, I mean, look at this Grau here. This guy in a helicopter, this is easy. My gun's not kicking, it's doing decent damage. He's in the side of a helicopter, this is easy. And there's gonna be, you know, a couple fights you're gonna see in a little bit where you're gonna be like, wow, Grau actually looks somewhat decent. I'm gonna miss a ton of shots, but you're gonna see that it comes in reliably, it does the work, and if I was just slightly better with it, a little bit more used to it, then I'd be doing my thing and giving them the Brian smackdown. But in honesty, I think going forward, the meta, a couple surprises for us, including Cold War guns and the eventual DLC guns coming. I think right now there is kind of like uncertainty within the competitive Call of Duty community. Not like, I want to say competitive, but you know, the people who play tournaments. I see a lot of DMRs still. I do see some AMAXs. I see a lot of MAC-10s. I'm seeing some MP5s. But I don't think there's like any real one gun that stands out on top quite like the DMR did, or the Grau did in the past, or the Bruin, or the Doof R9. I mean, there's been so many guns that have been dominant. I don't think right now we're in a place where there's just one gun that's so much better that you have to use it. Because a little bit with the DMR zone, it felt like that. I mean, I used a lot of snipers in my VAL in that time period. But, you know, for the most part, it really felt like you had to use the DMR if you want to compete. And I think Warzone right now is in a pretty good place. I think, you know, with the Kilo nerf, with the DMR nerf, with the MAC-10 being nerfed but still being relevant, I think it's in a good place. Because I think if you want to use an SMG, you don't just have to use the Modern Warfare MP5. You now have the Cold War MP5. You now have the MAC-10. And you also have the VAL. If you want another close-range gun, I think the Grows and FFAR are great competitors in head-to-head matchups with those SMGs. And if you're thinking about long-range ARs, the Grau, Kilo, M4, AMAX, AN94, as surprising as that sounds, you should actually look at the time to kill charts. And I think some of the LMGs, like the Stoner 63, for example, and the tac rifles, M16 AUG, I don't know, there's so much possibilities right now, and I'm actually really happy with the state that this game's in, because, you know, the DMR zone was kind of intense, and the doof, man, I did not like the doof at all. This game, though, is just like a 23 kill duos dub. As I said, my gameplay, there'll be some games where I play a lot like streamers, where I'm hopping in vehicles, I'm running at people. But you notice in this game, I landed Quarry, and I've been battling here in this area with that big blue building and that little village next to Quarry. I've been battling here and there, all around it, and this is where the game's going to end. As I said, in those northern circles, I am so tempted oftentimes to land at Superstore and Hangars and all those places. But with the group that I play with, they're not as good as me, and I don't think they take any insult to saying that, because I play with them for a reason, because they're my friends and they're fucking awesome playing with each other. But, you know, oftentimes when we go Superstore, it's not necessarily the best scenario. We can win in places like hangars, quarry, military, places that are secondary, like high intensity, a lot of people, but not as hectic as Superstore. And right here in this field, you're going to see why I think the Grau is so good. I mean, I'm missing so many shots here. I'm figuring out in real time how to use this gun at very long ranges, because this is like my second or third game. And then you're like, dude, you bought a skin for it. I really wanted the operator. He stands out like a sore thumb, but he's fucking hilarious looking. He looks like a Nacho Libre character, and I always gotta rock this guy. And the Grau tracers and Fennec tracers were just icing on top, because I love those two guns now. But having said that, you're seeing me figure out how to use this gun at long range, and you're seeing the damage I'm putting down reliably, consistently. And yes, I'm mounted up, but if I'm not mounted up, the kick is minimal. It's just similar to a Kilo, you know, it's something you can just put the damage down. I have used the Grau somewhat in multiplayer, because I had it, you know, leveled up to like 50 or something back when it came out. But I never played Grau Zone because of the way that I played Warzone, which I'll get into a later video, going over my quote-unquote Warzone review, my stats. But, you know, I think the gun has a lot of potential. I think it's something to keep in mind. Also keep the VAL in mind. This game is coming to an end. I do hope in the future you guys you watch my videos, you watch my streams. I'm going to be streaming on YouTube and Twitch, hopefully. I mean, I'll probably go down one or the other in the future, but, you know, I wanted to stream on both right now and just kind of keep my options open and just kind of expose my, you know, get myself out there to a lot of people. I hope you guys consider what I've said. I do hope you guys go on that website, truegamedata.com. You look at the guns yourself, you make these comparisons, you start figuring out the real stats, and I think it will make a difference in your gameplay. Alright guys, peace and love. I hope you enjoyed the video. As I said, you don't have to like, you don't have to subscribe, you don't have to comment, but if you did enjoy it, do keep an eye out on me. Think about, you know, coming back in the future, saying what's up or something. But anyways, gameplay's just gonna finish out. Peace.